No big deal.
Yeah, you sure?
No big deal. Yeah, no big deal, but like, you're like happy your foot like shooting off. No big deal. I know. No, they literally are meant to both have Wednesday or Tuesday.
Oh, when she talks to me, Megan has Wednesday. When she talks to Megan, she thinks I have Tuesday. Yeah. So you don't understand.
No, because we're on our class. Because we were initially on our class for the last year. So if we have the same one, and I can't know. But Abby doesn't care. Abby doesn't care though.
Not a big deal.
No. No, correct, no practice.
So I practice today for 30 minutes, and that's the last practice I get for the next day.
But she's fine.
Yeah, she's not
there.
upset at all.
Not upset at all.
I was too excited because I'm 3 and I know you're 3.
Boy, I've never seen you in here.
Okay, I got
I don't make the rest of my life. Hey, just so late. What? Oh.
This guy flipped.
I'm so funny. I know. It's kind of pathetic.
I was a little random. It was fine. It's good for me because I can't do it all the time. So it's good for
Looking forward to the test.
Yeah, I get really excited about tests. I used to back in the day.
Okay.
And I slept the head of the dream and I don't look forward to it anymore.
Oh, it is what it is.
Yeah, right after. Just grades, right? Sure, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well, Hannah, are you looking forward to the test? That's what we all live for, right? Allie, how about you? Looking forward to the test?
Absolutely.
Got it marked on your calendar?
Marked on my calendar and my to-do list.
Nice, nice. Yeah, how about you? Looking forward to this workshop? You got a lot going on with it. No one else is teaching around.
I'm gonna pack my car, just put my car on the Maryland, and then just.
Right. I imagine that's a huge relief, right? How about you, Andy? Do you have anything else going on this week, just like class? Okay. Did you do well? Sounds good. One thing, how's this week looking for you?
I don't want to read it.
I don't really want to get in
I'm touching around.
Great.
I wish I was right before before. You got me pre-planned.
Good, how are you?
What'd you say?
Still want to take the test Wednesday?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, can I take it Wednesday too?
Can you do after 3? Can you like 3?
I might actually be able to do it at 1 because
Oh.
because I think we're gonna finish everything today.
Oh, perfect. Okay, that'd be great. Okay, perfect, thank you.
Anna, are you gonna be around?
Yes, I'll be around. We don't leave for our flight till 3, so I can be fine on Friday.
Oh, okay, sounds good. How's it going, Blake?
I know, it's like, are they over? Why are we both late? I'm doing, like, oh yeah, like, we're in literally the same place. It smells like just because there's a layover.
How's everyone doing today?
Yeah, my coach said it was Monday. I think you got that wrong, though. Probably.
So, we got the test coming up on Friday. You gonna be here Friday or?
Yeah, our season's done. Our seasons are done, so, yeah.
Yeah. All right. More study time, right?
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Was it February 23rd? Yeah.
Yes, today's 23rd.
Today's 23rd, thank you. So, I think we will be able to finish chapter 11 today, so yay! And we are on track to have our next exam on Friday, so that'll be Friday at 1. But because we are finishing, we should be able to finish today. If anyone wants to take the exam early, that's what we're going to use Wednesday for. So no lecturing on Wednesday. If you want to take the exam early, just come at 1 o'clock on Wednesday, and I will have the test ready for you. Don't forget, there is a practice exam posted on our Blackboard site. I'm trying to remember what system we're using here. So don't forget to take a look at the practice exam. And then we will have a regular lab session on Tuesday. So normal lab on Tuesday. All right, any questions about the schedule for this week? We got this chapter 11. You want to take the test early, normal lab on Tuesday. If you want to take the test early, come on Wednesday. Otherwise, use that for studying. And then test on Friday. All right, here we go. I believe we left off on learning about the diversity of these prokaryotes, and we ended with looking at different examples of bacteria that thrive in a terrestrial environment. But now we're looking at some examples of those that prefer an aquatic environment, those that live in water. It could be either fresh water or salt water. So here's an example of a really interesting genus. It's called Peelle vibrio. I forgot my pointer today. It's Peelle vibrio at the top left. And a lot of times we think about bacteria that infect, like eukaryotic cells like ourselves. But there are some that will actually infect other prokaryotes. So this is So here's an interesting example. So on the lower left, you see a picture of the Peelle vibrio. That's the one that's kind of orangish in color. And do you recognize what this long string-like structure is? That's a flagellum, that's right. So that allows it to be modal and move towards objects, including this bacterium pictured on the left. So what's kind of interesting about this one is that Peelle vibrio will actually penetrate inside of that host, and then once inside, it'll take about maybe 3 to 4 hours there, and it will actually replicate inside. And then afterwards will be released to infect other cells that may be nearby. So that's an interesting life cycle, right? So instead of just infecting animal or human cells, here's an example of bacterium that can infect other bacteria. So let's think about what's an advantage? Why would a bacterium prefer or develop this kind of a life cycle? What would be the advantages of infecting another cell versus trying to get all the food from its environment? Any thoughts about that? That's true. It is destroying other bacteria, so it is reducing competition for resources. Like if it was totally dependent upon nutrients that are available in that liquidy environment, now it has one less competitor to worry about, right? And just kind of think about there's advantages to being able to find nourishment that's concentrated within a host cell versus trying to find nutrients out there in the world. Well, here's another interesting example of a bacterium, or bacteria that actually live in water. These are actually bacteria that release energy in the form of light, visible light that we can see. These are found in salt and also sometimes in fresh water as well, and they can form symbiotic relationships. For example, on the left, I think you recognize this bacterium is growing on a petri dish, but on the right, it's actually growing on the exterior surface of a fish. And there's different advantages and disadvantages for that. You may have seen in the summertime that there are what we call fireflies that will release light at night. And whether it's the fly or this bacterium, they release light because of a special enzyme that's named luciferase. Luciferase. So if you're familiar with the firefly that's in our, grows in our neck of the woods, why? What's the advantage of the fly illuminating at night?
We can catch it.
What's the advantage for the fly to illuminate, to light up? It's for mating, to attract mates, right? Like, don't you find that cool? You lit up, be all bright and light. So other flies are attracted to that too. Now there's a different advantage here for the fish that would have this glow-in-the-dark bacterium. On the slide it says here that it would confuse predators and prey. So in other words, if you're in the depths of the ocean and you're in darkness, you see a fish that's glowing in the dark, it may scare you away. Like, oh my gosh, what is that? Here's something interesting. This is the bacterium just glowing by itself. So, has anyone ever been to Puerto Rico? Okay, it's an island in the Caribbean, and you know, surrounded by salt water. But interestingly, they actually have an inland lake on the island that's actually made of fresh water. It's pretty good size. It's larger than Lake Adrian, for example. And one of the cool things about this lake is that you can actually rent a kayak on the beach and start paddling through the salt water and take a river inland through the mangroves, which are trees, where you reach this large lake, and at night it's dark, but when you start to paddle, when your paddle hits the water, it'll actually cause the bacterium to illuminate blue. So what's kind of cool is that there's actually this fresh water that you can actually paddle on a kayak and cause this blue illumination on the surface of the water. So it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. I know I've tried to share some other fun things about the world, like Grand Canyon, and you may have seen Northern Lights too. There's so much beauty in the world, and you're young. most of you are young. You still have time to experience it.
I've seen a lot.
And appreciate life, right? All right. So I know a lot of times we think of bacteria as being bad, but bacteria can also be a source of wonderment about our world. Okay, here's an example of a disease, though. It's has the genus is called Legionella, and like the others, this one grows in water. This one prefers fresh water, and it can infect other cells, just like the first example we looked at. This one can actually infect protozoa as opposed to bacteria. And this one was actually associated with a disease called Legionnaire's disease. So back in the nation's bicentennial celebration, this is when they were celebrating the 200th year of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So this was back in 1976. There was a huge convention of our American veterans who were part of the American Legion. So they were in a large hotel in Philadelphia, and for some reason, this was during the summertime, a large number of them were actually getting sick. And so it wasn't any disease that people had seen before. But they were coming down with this pneumonia-like symptoms, and it took a long time. I think some people actually died from it, but they called the disease Legionnaire's disease because of the individuals who were infected. But eventually they figured out that that the cooling unit on top of this huge hotel that was filled with stagnant water, that cooling water was actually contaminated with this bacterium called Legionella. And then when the heating and ventilation system wasn't operating, the cool air would transfer the bacterium through tiny particles of water through the ventilation system into the rooms and the conference meeting rooms inside the hotel. So people were actually breathing in Legionella, and that's how they were getting infected with the disease. Well, it turns out that that's not the only environment where you can actually find this bacterium. It's also common in places where you have like saunas or hot tubs where you have moist air in the room. And also produce misters. Okay, what the heck is that? Anyone know what we're talking about?
Oh, yeah, in the store.
You're in the grocery stores, right? Where they have these sprayers that will keep the vegetables moist. Okay, so that's where you can also find Legionella. Okay. All right, so we looked at 3 examples of bacteria that prefer to live in a watery environment. And now we're going to take a look at some bacteria that actually like to live either on or in our bodies. So this is a different kind of environment. So here we're going to just take a look at maybe 4 examples, or maybe more than 4, but maybe a handful of slides there. So the first slide here gives us a couple of examples of bacteria that actually prefer to live on the surface of our skin. So if you think about your skin, what kind of environment are we looking at here? It's open to the air, right? It's it's not very moist, but it's warm. It's subject to air, so it can be very drying. See what else? Salt can accumulate too. It could be salty if you perspire, for example. There could be some oil there too from glands. So that's the kind of environment that we're looking at there. And we have 2 examples of the genus Staphylococcus. So a lot of times people will just shorten the name of Staphylococcus and they'll just say Staph for short. So we have Staph aureus. So we have Staph aureus and Staph saprophyticus. So we have saprophyticus. So we have one Staph aureus that's associated with a number of kind of diseases, but most commonly for wound infections. So if you cut your skin, for example, that's a portal of entry where the bacteria could enter and cause infection. And we also have saprophyticus associated with urinary tract infections. So now Staph aureus is often in the news because it's associated with what we call MRSA, which is I know we have all these abbreviations here for you. So you may have heard of MRSA, which is MRSA for short. So the S and A's stand for Staphylococcus aureus. Okay. R is for resistant. Anyone know what the M is for? Methicillin. Methicillin resistant Staph aureus. What is methicillin? It's an antibiotic. That's right. It belongs to this family that we call beta-lactams, and that family includes penicillin too. And this is a concern here. Anyone know why?
Resistant bacteria to antibiotics.
It's actually resistant to multiple antibiotics. That's right. So it's not just resistant to one, but a whole family of antibiotics.
You can get it from the hospital.
You can get it from the hospital.
From the hospital.
From the hospital.
Yeah.
That's right. So there's a problem with these hospital-acquired infections too. Right? So because it's resistant to so many of the common antibiotics that are used to treat infections, this is concerning because there aren't very many remaining antibiotics that could be used to treat these types of infections. So, okay, go ahead.
Is food poisoning staph period, or is there other bacteria that could cause food poisoning?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them that can cause food poisoning. Like normally, the more common one is E. coli for food poisoning. Yeah. Let's talk about real quick, how do bacteria become resistant to antibiotics?
By being exposed to the antibiotic and creating antibodies towards the antibiotic?
Yeah, exposure is important, right? Leslie, did you want to add to that?
Why did you say maybe mutation of some of these genes?
That's right. It's a combination of exposure, so those that are susceptible die, but because of mutations that are occurring, some will be genetically resistant. And those that are resistant can therefore survive. And also we see gene transfer happening as well that enable bacteria to become resistant, to share resistance with other bacteria. All right, here are, we're looking at, let's see, like 4 examples of bacteria that are found growing on our mucous membranes. So our mucous membranes are the internal linings that you find inside of our bodies. So like inside of our throat, our lungs, for example. And then we have 4 examples. The first 2 are streptococci. So we have streptococcus pneumoniae, and we have streptococcus pyogenes. So I know the S, you know, don't confuse the S with staphylococcus this time. This time we're looking at streptococcus. So I don't know if you remember, but bacteria the cells can form different arrangements. Like sometimes they form chains, sometimes they form grape-like clusters. Anyone remember what kind of arrangement you'll find with streptococcus? Chains, that's right, chains. And then staphylococcus is the one that makes the grape-like clusters. So, you know, just by looking under the microscope, it'll help you to distinguish those. Okay, so we have examples of pneumonia, which is a lung infection, and then we have strep throat. Yeah, and then let's look at some of the other examples here. For the genital urinary system, we have Neisseria, gonorrhea, and anyone know what these letters stand for? The STI? Yeah.
Sexually transmitted infection.
That's correct. So we have a sexually transmitted infection there. So I know we got spring break coming up, so let's talk about this a little bit. There are a number of these sexually transmitted pathogens out there, and they can move in both directions, from male and also from females. And so, prevention is important, right? Because you want to be safe. So we're talking about using, prophylactics here. Now, I know it's not comfortable to talk about this kind of stuff, but whenever you have a new partner, it doesn't, I know it's hard when you're in the heat of the moment, but sometimes you gotta ask, like, are you clean? Meaning, do you have any diseases? And even though you ask and you get a response, you don't always get an honest answer. So you want to be careful. And look for signs of infection here. So if anything, looks unusual here. So we're talking about like weird or like discharges. Anything that may be abnormal fluids or abnormal smells. Okay, so those are the things you want to be, aware of in the back of your mind. Hey, there's something unusual here. There could be sexually transmitted disease there. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, right? Okay. And we already talked about how harmful diarrhea is. That actually can be lethal, right? Because of the problems with becoming dehydrated, seriously dehydrated. Okay, so that's Campylobacter jejuni. Okay, here's an interesting example of a different kind of bacterium. This one has a genus called Mycoplasma. Mycoplasma. And this one's associated with a disease called walking pneumonia. Walking pneumonia. So pneumonia sounds bad, right? I mean, people die from pneumonia every year. So sometimes, you feel like, oh, it's just a cold or it's just a flu. I can tough it out. And there are some cases where it's not so severe that you're bedridden. You can actually keep going. And that's what they mean by walking pneumonia. You have pneumonia, but it's not so severe that you're bedridden. You think you just have a flu or something that you're overcoming. Yeah.
Is that just amount of pneumonia in your lungs that creates that difference, or is it a different bacteria?
Yeah, it's actually a different bacterium totally in this case. So it's just not as what we call virulent. It's just not as deadly as some of the other ones are. So even though you feel like, okay, my illness isn't that bad, it actually may be that bad. Okay, here's something interesting about Mycoplasma, and that is it lacks a cell wall. So remember, the cell wall is responsible for the shape. Like bacteria are bacillus, because the cell wall is rod-shaped. Bacteria are a sphere because of the cell walls are that shape. So in the absence of a wall, all they have is a membrane, just a plasma membrane on the exterior, and that's holding everything inside of it. So as a result, you'll get these what they call these fried egg shaped colonies in the petri dishes. Okay. Has anyone seen anything like that growing in your petri dish? Have you seen anything like that? Okay, I didn't think so, but it doesn't hurt to ask, right? Now, because there's no cell wall, that means some of the more common antibiotics that actually work by preventing cell wall synthesis, by blocking peptidoglycan synthesis, those antibiotics will not be effective. So, I don't know if you've ever had the occasion where you receive, you're ill, you received a prescription for antibiotics, and you take the medicine, but you don't get better. Has that happened to anyone? Okay, I think it has happened to some of you, but you're too shy to admit it. So this is one reason for it. What's another reason for why the antibiotics are not effective?
I think maybe not constantly taking them on time, because maybe when you don't take them consistently at the same time, you're allowing for it to grow again. So in order to kill the bacteria, you need to take it consistently so that you stop that growth. So
that is exactly right, because if you don't kill them, then they develop resistance, basically. Yeah. Okay, and then we're nearing the end here. Here's an interesting category of bacteria. They're referred to as obligate intracellular parasites. The obligate intracellular parasites. So we've heard of that first word before, obligate. So what does that mean? Like if it's an obligate aerobe, it's an absolute requirement, right? Obligate, like, okay. So intracellular, what does that mean?
Between cells.
Not
Cell to cell.
It's
inside.
inside. So you're thinking intercellular. This is intracellular. So these are parasites that can basically only reproduce when they are inside of a host cell. So they cannot reproduce outside of that host cell. So viruses are actually, fall into this category too. So here's an example, one called chlamydia, and this also belongs to that sexually transmitted infection group. And the picture here actually shows us two different phases that chlamydia go through. One is called the reticulate body, and the other one is called the elementary body. And this smaller, darker body, the elementary one, that's actually the infectious one. So that's the one that can actually penetrate a host cell and then reproduce inside of it. Last slide. Hey, we're actually at the end. So we're looking at Archaea here. Highlight are three. There's actually another one that wasn't on the table, but I do want to call that one to your attention too, because up here we have in this first bullet point here, we actually have 4. So we have 4, although there's just 3 listed on the table. High heat means that we have those that prefer to live under, near boiling temperatures. So we call those thermophiles. So philes means they love that kind of environment. So high heat thermophiles. So we're looking at hot springs. I didn't mention Yellowstone, right? Hydrothermal vents. Where are those? Where?
The seafloor.
Seafloor, very good. Where you have like like volcanic activity, right? I don't know. Did anyone see the videos of that? Was it that volcano in Hawaii? It's erupting. Molten lava is shooting out in the sky. Bacteria can actually live there. Oh my gosh. Okay. The second word here is acidity. Acidity and alkalinity. So there's actually some that actually like low pHs. We call those acidophiles. So we have acidophiles. And then salinity would be the halophiles on the table here. Yeah. Has anyone been to Utah, seen the Great Salt Lake? Or have you been to, help me out here, Palestine? The Dead Sea, is that right? The one that you can literally float on? Anyone remember that one?
Isn't that in Libya, right? That's why they call it the Dead Sea.
Is it the Dead Sea?
I think so.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it can't be completely dead because these halophiles are living in there. But yeah, I mean, you can literally float on your back. Okay, last one on the table are the methanogens, and we actually learned about those previously because they use they use sulfur as their energy source, and they release methane gas. So that kind of gives you an idea of some other kind of extreme environments where you can find bacteria. All right, we have finished chapter 11. So I appreciate your patience with all of that, because there's actually quite a bit in there if you when you read chapter 11. I just kind of pulled out some examples for you. Do you have any questions about what we're doing this week? Okay. Do we have lab tomorrow? Yes. Yes. Okay. What are we doing Wednesday?
Amazing.
If you want to take the test early, come Wednesday. If you don't want to take the test early, then don't come Wednesday. What are we doing Friday? Test. Okay. All right. Everyone have a great day.